Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
Who else we got here? Who else?
I'm Brady.
I'm Jimmy.
I'm Micah.
Let's do it. Full house down here in the exciting and new podcast.
I suppose we probably should have brought this up before we even started podcasting, but is this the end of the 1982? Are we starting when we
this
start
is season 3, episode 1.
This is the first episode of season 3.
So we lost. This is the end. Beautiful.
Were we going to play that on the last day?
Can we play that in?
I wasn't sure if we were going to
yeah.
start the next season when 83 started, or like these were the back end of 82.
Well, this is going to kick in on the first week of January.
You're right. I mean, this is for 2023. So
this movie released September 21st, 1975. So it wasn't anything like we were catching a date.
No.
You know what I mean, that's what I'm saying. But we weren't catching a date in 82.
I guess we should explain that we were asking guests that we've already had on to come back and talk about.
Yeah, we didn't explain that.
Talk about a movie they wanted to talk about that wasn't something we would get to.
Welcome to our 1983 season. We're starting off with a little something different.
We're starting off with hopefully 8 movies leading up to 1983.
Yeah, and Mike, if you want to come on with a movie that you did watch, you're more than welcome to.
Before 1982.
It could be post 92 also, I think.
It could probably be post 1984 because we're not going to live that long. We're not going to live.
The world's not going to be around
2
that
more
long.
years.
Come on now.
So this is what movie? What did we discuss that yet?
Well, we're discussing what
we're doing.
What we're doing was we're having our guests back that we had on in our first season of 1982, which was really our second season, right?
Yeah.
So this is our third season now. Starting, it's 1983, and 1983 didn't really have a lot of movies.
I was able to compact them all down to 10 months of every single Saturday coming out with a podcast. Now, I also did that for 82, and for reasons outside of my control, the last couple months of 1982 fell apart. So for all those of you who thought we were gone, we're still around, hopefully podcasting well into 2023. Is that the next year that's coming up?
And like some in 1983, just like My Tutor, The Outsiders, All the Right Moves, Dr. Detroit, Return of the Jedi, Trading Places, Superman 3, Porky's 2, Stroker Ace. Love that movie. War Games, Mr. Mom, 220, 221.
There is not a bad movie.
Risky Business, Smokey and the Bandit 3, Strange Brew, Easy Money, Cujo, Psycho 2, Twilight Zone, the movie we could talk about.
Finally.
Yes.
What was it? What?
All the times we referenced Vic Morrow dying this year.
Twilight Zone, the movie, right. Because it's being filmed in 1982.
DC Cab, A Christmas Story, Private School with Phoebe Cates.
Mm-hmm. Kevin,
83 is going to be
if you're out
lit.
there's no Slumber Party Massacre this year. Pick something better.
83 is going to be lit.
But because we had extra time at the beginning of the year, we decided that for the first 8 weeks of the year, we're going to have a guest on every week to discuss one of their favorite movies.
Yes. And this week we had a guest joining us.
Brady. I chose Dog Day Afternoon because this is hands down top 5 favorite movie for me.
Wow, hands down
say,
top
yeah.
5. When did you're a young kid? You're 18 years old or 19. When did you see it first?
I've watched this for the first time within the last year.
Oh, okay.
I will put this in my top 10.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll be right up there with the top 10.
Top 5, and that's I've thought about it. I'm pretty confident top 5. If it's not, it's like 6 or 7.
Okay.
But those will all change every day.
Listen, my top
change-
3.
yeah,
my
my-
top 3 is usually like 10 movies that move up and
I was
down.
gonna say,
So
like-
my top 3 changes every time. So if you ask me right now, then you ask me when we go upstairs, it would be different. I'm like,
my top 10 will change, but I think those movies are like my 10 favorite, but they'll interchange order. But this is definitely one of my.
I've had my
favorites
top 1 movie for 30 years, I think.
What is it?
I've had the same top 1 movie. My favorite.
Can I guess?
Wait, did it come out 30 years ago?
It's been longer than 30
Oh,
years.
ever. Can I guess it? Can we all guess
yeah,
it?
so I guess. Go ahead. What's your guess?
My guess is Caddyshack.
I'm gonna go with. Man.
I'm not well versed in 1980s South Korean teenage.
I'm gonna go with- I'm gonna go-
porn movies.
That is
so
true.
I'm
feel
not
like
sure which one of those
I'm going-
you've chosen.
my guess is
I'm
probably wrong. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah.
I'm going with Emmanuel in Space or Young Chatterley's Lover.
Yeah, you're not a horror guy. You weren't like a drama guy either.
Not
It's got to
Blade,
be
it wasn't
a comedy,
Blade Runner.
right?
It wasn't Blade Runner.
He's a sci-fi guy. Can I get a year, or would that give it away?
I probably would give it away.
All right, but give us the year now anyway.
80.
1980.
1980.
Oh, Caddyshack fits right into that. Airplane.
Airplane, nice call. Animal House, not 78. Is it one of those? Is it Caddyshack?
Meatballs?
It's Caddyshack.
Nice. I mean, that is an all-time great movie.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with saying that's your favorite movie because that's
That
a great
is a
movie. Yeah.
immensely quotable movie. I just watched it the other day because it was on. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I saw
gonna
it like
say-
from the beginning where Danny's trying to get out of the house, and I was like, I'm seeing this from the beginning. And
He saw me naked.
I was like, I guess I'm just watching this for the next 2 hours,
My guess was purely off the amount of Caddyshack quotes.
which is
From
weird
every
because I
day.
don't hear you quote
Yeah, I don't think you've ever-
Caddyshack
He does
that
it-
much.
He
I've never heard it. Out of
He
you.
goes at least once a day. At least once a day.
I do hear you like when we're out bitching and moaning, going like, "I want a hamburger. No, I want a cheeseburger." Shut up, Spalding. You'll get nothing and like it. Wait, are we doing a Caddyshack podcast? No,
I don't know, but that's fun to pick your movie.
I don't want
I
to go
hope
too
someone
off,
picks Caddyshack.
too off track.
Can you get one of your daughters to
Bill
pick
Murray's talking about
Oh, yeah.
the Dalai Lama.
Oh,
He's just
that's
going on his like
an all-time
monologue,
great
and he
scene.
just says that all the time.
And so, all right, so Brady, you've picked Dog Day Afternoon. It came out, released in the theater September 21st, 1975. Running time of 2 hours and 5 minutes. It's rated R, directed by Sidney Lumet.
The dude had.
The dude could film New York City.
Oh yeah, New York's definitely a character in this movie, but he did 12 Angry Men. He did The Verdict. He did
12 Angry Men in his top 4.
Network.
Not in his top 4.
Vertigo's not in his top 4 either.
No.
Is-
Wait,
but
12
12
Angry
Angry Men
Men's
is in
not?
his top 4.
Oh, it is. It is.
yeah.
Okay.
He did.
Dog Day Afternoon is in his top 4.
I'm gonna be mad.
Another
that I don't get his-
Pacino movie is in his top 4 from around that time in the 70s. You want to guess that?
Did he do Serpico?
He did do Serpico,
Okay,
and that
he
is
did
Serpico.
Serpico.
That is
Wow.
correct. And the other one was Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
I love that.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what else he did? A movie we didn't get to in 1982. He did Death Trap,
Yes. That's right.
I'm glad.
which
we
is a
didn't get to
weird
that
movie for him because it's a comedy. It's like
You
a.
watched it, didn't you?
I did.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh, we never got to do the podcast on it, but
haven't
I
watched
did not rewatch it because I knew we weren't going
I
to
haven't
podcast on
rewatched
it.
it, yeah.
But I have fond memories of that movie.
What would you give it if you had to give it a score right now? If you gave it a score,
45.
So waited for so that's like a 75, like for regular people.
Yeah.
It was a good movie, Death Trap. I mean, I was young when I saw
Sydney
it.
passed away 2011, lymphoma. The IMDb description for this movie was 3 amateur bank robbers plan to hold up a bank. A nice simple robbery. Walk in, take the money, and run. Unfortunately, the supposedly uncomplicated heist suddenly becomes a bizarre nightmare as everything that could go wrong does. That's the IMDb description, the
I
little
feel like
mini.
you almost forget that there was 3.
Yeah, because he backs out before they
Backs
even
out
start.
So early.
I can't do it,
Now,
Sonny.
do you
I
have
can't do it,
do you have
Sonny.
that guy in the cast? The third
I
guy?
did not write anybody in the cast. I'm
Okay.
just going to do it off my phone.
Well,
today.
he, as soon as because he's the first one you see, he gets out of the car first after you see New York for
Gary
like
Springer,
10
his
minutes.
name is.
He was, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, I know this guy from something. I'm like looking at him,
Is this the
looking
guy
at
at
him,
your
like,
pool? Is this your pool?
he is in Jaws 2.
This is your pool?
He's the guy is that from Jaws 2?
Is this your pool? I'm asking you, is this your pool? Is this
Oh,
your
no,
guy?
no. Oh, my pool. I think
Yeah.
you're saying pool.
This is your
I was like,
pool.
is that from Jaws 2? I don't know.
thinking,
No,
is
this
this
is
your
not my
pool?
pool. This is not my pool. He was in Jaws 2.
I still don't like the way he said that today in the text message. That was very weird, right?
I still don't understand what that means.
He's going to pull something out of like,
Pull it out of the hat. You're not going to see it coming. You'll be like, no way.
but the way he worded it, it's like, I got to pull for you
out of
today.
his
I was like, what are you
pants or
pulling?
something.
I didn't know what he was doing.
Anyway, this guy, what's his name? Gary Springer? Not
Yes.
Jerry's brother. He was in Jaws 2. He was the guy trying to help whichever younger Brody boy was get on the boat. And it's one of the best scenes in the movie because you see the camera from overhead and the shark is just coming up on him and he's getting the kid on the boat and then just bang, he gets mushed. So he's
That's
he
fun.
dies
I
in
didn't know
Jaws
that
2.
Jaws 2 had a best scene because I've just kind of blocked that.
Jaws
entire
2 is
movie.
decent. Jaws 2 is not
Jaws
terrible.
2 is
It's not Jaws
1.
3.
I like Jaws 3D way better. Yeah.
Oh no, Jaws 3
Come on.
is
No,
terrible,
no, no.
and Jaws 4 is unwatchable. Although it has Jason's boy in it.
Oh yeah, Michael Caine.
Yeah,
Michael Caine.
I'm Michael Guy.
there you go. What did we miss out with him?
Michael Guy.
Death Trap.
Death Trap.
Right,
Yeah.
Death Trap. Wait, oh yeah. Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine. Drew a blank there for a second.
Do you want me
Anyway.
to read the other description? It's a little longer. Do you want me to give it?
I read a second description on IMDb. I don't even think you should. It's like the whole story.
That's the one where, you saw what I'm talking about. That's that long paragraph right there. Right?
It is basically scene by scene, every single scene. And then one of the girls has to go to the bathroom. And then the guy has a heart attack. And then they have to get this guy. And then I'm like, really? Is this a description or just the movie?
I'm going to read the first couple sentences because it does give that a key to the story that we don't really know. So this is based off of a real life incident which occurred in August of '72, in which the Chase Manhattan Bank branch in Gravesend, Brooklyn, New York, was held hostage by Sonny, a Vietnam veteran turned bank robber, determined to steal enough money, $2,500, for his, and I put this in quotations, wife, whose name is Leon, a trans woman. The two were, according to an on-screen TV news report, married in a church by a priest who was defrocked shortly after. Although Leon says to the police that Sal is married and has children.
Okay.
Sal also says, I'm not a homosexual in this. He's very...
Someone sent me a text of that.
Yeah.
I read up on this actual, the actual crime, and Sal and Sonny met in a gay bar in New York, like in real life. Yes. So he might not be gay, but he was hanging out in a gay bar.
Yeah, I believe he was, and he was just one of those guys that was suppressing it.
Possibly, possibly.
That might have been why he was so depressed during the entire movie.
And that's also why he said they were going to kill themselves if this didn't work. It was this or nothing. So
my history with this,
what was he getting out of the $2,500 if it was all for Leon?
I think they wanted more than $2,500. It just wasn't there. My history with this movie is when I was not much older than Brady. I was probably like 20, 21. I had seen Goodfellas. Like I had just seen Goodfellas, and I was like, man, I want to see more stuff like that. I want to see more stuff where it's like crime and gritty grimy, and Scorsese and all that stuff. So I just started getting Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon,
French Connection,
all those movies. And every week I would watch another one. And so it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of those movies. Like I've seen Taxi Driver in the last couple of years, and I've seen like Raging Bull recently, but like
love Raging Bull.
Dog Day Afternoon I've not seen since that time. Because it's not one of those movies they play on TNT when you're sitting around on your couch on a Saturday. It's something you have to like seek out. So when I went into this movie, I was like, I don't even remember it. I mean,
I remember this movie. I love this.
I remember specific scenes, but like the whole like Leon and the whole sex reassignment surgery.
You didn't know that, bro. You didn't remember that, right?
I was like, I'm blown away by this. I had no idea that's pretty progressive for 1975. That was like a central plot point.
Also, you were confused with my quote,
and you did the whole Attica thing. I'm like,
you didn't get it.
Isn't that Serpico? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like. It's been a long time for a lot of these movies. And it's so funny, that whole Attica thing never actually happened. And that is such BS that he was like trying to rile up the, I guess the police, the people against the police, because they had just killed a bunch of people in a prison.
Yeah.
But that didn't actually happen. Al Pacino ad-libbed that on the set, during that scene. So
there was quite
what's that?
Yeah, we learned that last night. We were like, where is Attica? And,
yeah. It's in upstate New York. Yeah.
Live.
Okay.
45 minutes away.
Is it still a working prison? Is it still a prison?
Yeah,
nice.
Several of our clients actually still work there.
Work there, not attend there. Not
I'm a member.
Might have a few attendees, but
they all froze in their cars over the weekend.
When I first watched this movie, I think the reason I loved it so much was because like the performances and the way it's shot, it just feels so real. Like
you feel like you're in the back.
I feel like I'm like.
There are two specific scenes that I want to talk about how it's shot, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But there are two scenes where like
get into it now if you want.
Okay, well,
I like how it's all like it's almost entirely ground level. I mean, there's some shots from but even then it's supposed to be from the helicopter.
Well, they show like the snipers and stuff like that, but not a lot of that.
Most of the time, it's
or when those guys fall out of the building. When he shoots, remember when he shoots?
When he shoots,
shoots out the back window and they all jump off. Yeah, but it's like all ground level, so you feel like you're really like there, and then the performances are just so amazing. I feel like
all the performances are amazing, but it's really, I mean, it's a one-man show.
Oh, well, yeah,
it's Al Pacino
like
all the way through, and it's amazing how.
You got to give something to John Cazale because he was insane in his scenes. I mean, but I give more to Pacino as well.
I mean, he was such a minor part to the movie. It's so much Pacino.
I agree.
It's really weird how like Charles Durning, who I mean, I don't know if he was Charles Durning yet, but like halfway through the movie, he just disappears. I think they made it realistic, but
because
they
brought in
the
James,
FBI. They brought in the FBI, but they should have, I think, just left Charles Durning as the main cop all the way through.
But also, Sonny said he didn't want to talk to him anymore.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm sure that's how it really went down. But
why am I talking to you?
Charles Durning was so good. All of a sudden, like, they don't even explain. He's just not there
Charles
in the next
Durning is
scene.
great
They're just
too.
like, all of a sudden, it's the
just
FBI
his
guy.
voice. I love Charles Durning's voice. It's just,
no, he was great. You touched upon this when he shoots out the back window when he thinks that someone's coming in the back door. That was one of the scenes I wanted to talk about, the filming of that, because the cuts after that of
it shows everyone's reaction.
The chaos of and it's just like cut to those people running away, cut to the cops all jumping around, cut to the people inside the and it's like cut. It was crazy because it's like not 5 cuts, it's like 50 cuts. It's nonstop. I was like, I'm gonna have a seizure just watching this movie.
The scenes on the street when Durning was running from one second. What the fuck's going on?
Oh, that was crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, how is he just not getting shot, Al Pacino? Because
I don't understand.
There are
either.
500 cops there. One of them's got an itchy trigger. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Didn't mean to shoot him.
just like when
And that's why he's so panicky. He's like, get back, holster your guns.
and Sal kept holding the gun. He said, "Let's put it up. Put the gun up to the
Oh,
ceiling."
well, that was set up.
I saw John Cazale. That's how you say his name.
Yeah. That's how I say it.
That is John Cazale.
Yeah. So he wasn't supposed to be in the movie, or it wasn't like.
Well, it was
meant
supposed to be like
for
an
him.
18-year-old or something.
Yeah, it was supposed
like
to be
that.
like a young. Yeah, and Al Pacino wanted him in it because he knew the chemistry had to be good between the two of them. And
He came in to read. He had him
he
read.
read
for,
it like
Sydney.
2 lines, and he was like, "Oh, you're in the
Yep.
movie." And I was like,
Did you know he only made like 7 movies before he died of lung cancer?
And
at
they
the
were
age of
all
42?
Best
Every
Picture
single movie he was in got
nominated.
nominated for.
5.
Well, he's in Godfather 3, which came out like 10 years after he died, but that also got nominated. He's like in a cutaway or a flashback scene or something like that. Every single movie,
archival footage.
Yes, exactly. Every single movie he was in was nominated. He did Deer Hunter while he was
And
dying.
he was married to
Meryl Streep was like, I think the guys in Deer Hunter, like De Niro and stuff like that, talk about how they've never seen someone helping someone so much. Like Meryl Streep was just helping him get to the set and filming his scenes and stuff, because he was like basically just died. He died before the movie came out.
Yeah.
So and it's quite poignant that in the movie he talks about smoking and not wanting to smoke because he doesn't want to get cancer.
He doesn't want to get the cancer, and that's what he gets.
And that's in like 5 years later, he was dead of lung cancer from smoking like 3 packs a day.
even though he's not in it as much as Al Pacino, I feel like when he is on screen, he portrays like the threat.
Sure, he's the chaos. He can shoot at any second.
Yeah,
He said he was ready to
And,
kill.
like in his eyes. Like
At the beginning,
Ready to die.
It's so funny how at the beginning I thought he was like afraid. Well, I guess they're afraid anyway, but I thought he was the one that was going to kind of be like, I don't want to be here, Sonny. I don't want to be here. But he's like,
He's
you
ready.
say the
He's
word,
ready.
I'm going to kill someone. I'm like, oh, we got to
He
worry
said,
about this guy.
What you said he would have killed him? You mean that? Did you mean that?
I don't think it should be overlooked the fact that, of course, these two guys were Fredo and Michael Corleone in The Godfather and Godfather 2, and that they're playing basically the same, Al Pacino's Michael, he's Sonny, he's the leader, and then Fredo is now Sal, and he's kind of like the
hindrance.
lackey, and also Michael now is playing Sonny, and Sonny was their brother in Godfather. But
They're coming off of the Godfather 2 for this. After this,
it must have just been filmed.
just was filmed.
He
and
just ordered his hit in that movie.
Pacino has the script. He says no. He's tired.
Oh, really?
He's exhausted.
I thought he was the one that
He's-
championed this
He's
movie.
overly exhausted. Listen, there's more to it. He's overly exhausted.
I'll keep stopping.
He doesn't want to do the movie. He declines.
Yeah.
Sidney Lumet offers the movie to Dustin Hoffman.
Okay. I mean, Dustin Hoffman's.
But Pacino comes back and says,
Oh, okay.
He didn't want Hoffman taking that role.
Because
So
he knew it was going to be so good, and
Yeah.
Hoffman could probably knock it out of the park.
Exactly. He didn't want Hoffman getting all the
The accolades
Yeah.
for that.
so he
Dustin
took,
Hoffman would have been good. I've always thought.
I think Hoffman
I've
would have
always
worked in
thought
that role.
Pacino and Dustin Hoffman are kind of the same mold.
Hoffman has that little thing where he can go off where he's like, and he starts going crazy a little bit, It's just I could see it.
I'm not a Pacino fan, and I haven't seen this movie for such a long time.
Can we cut that part out?
No, I'm just saying. I thought after watching him for like the first half hour, I'm amazed that this is Al Pacino. That how good he is in this movie.
Okay, that's nice to hear. It's good. Yeah.
And just because I'm not a fan of his later stuff.
Well,
So anything.
like Click?
80s
did you see
stuff.
Jack and Jill?
Jack and Jill.
No one's a fan of that. I'm sure Al Pacino's not a fan of that.
But I'm just saying, even I like him better in this than
But
Godfather.
I mean, that is. Oh, really?
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys like just started taking the roles for the money. De Niro and those guys. what they did in the 70s and 80s should not be affected by what they did after that.
Yeah.
Because Al Pacino is great in everything that he did in the 70s and 80s.
He was just a convincing, clueless amateur.
Oh, man, when he starts
gun,
screaming,
bank robber.
It's just like his voice starts out here and it's like haunting, and it gets up here, and it's just like it just gets so fired up. You know,
the best example of that is when he's talking to his like ex-wife, or I guess his wife,
but not Leon.
He does leave 2 wives money in his will. I know he calls both of them his wife. But.
That scene where he's reading the will is so well acted too. Oh my god, that's probably my favorite scene. In the whole movie.
They filmed the 2 phone calls that Pacino did back to back, and then it was
the Leon one.
It was like 16
wife.
minutes total of 16 minutes. They did it again the second time, and Pacino was so tired by the end of it, and that's what they wanted. They wanted you to see how tired he got, because they wanted you to see how tired they were from being in that bank for a couple hours, how it was just like wearing them down. No air conditioning.
It's so funny, like in 2022, to think back on like a bank hostage situation with 8 people. I mean, that's like nothing. Like we have school shootings where like 50 kids get murdered, and that's like barely news anymore. So like a bank holdup with 8 hostages is like, throw a grenade in there and end it. Like, why are we even bothering with this?
It was just so weird. It felt weird. It was like they set up right away for like, okay, we got a whole bunch of people that are coming watching. I thought we were watching the Masters. It was the 18th green, and everybody was walking up on the 18th green, and you just see how everybody just swarms around the green. That's what it felt like.
And they were there all night. No one was going home to get dinner. They're like, I'm staying here till this all sorts itself out. I like this.
That guy, the guard first, he was basically had asthma or whatever, couldn't breathe. So when they got him out, they thought he was the suspect. They were attacked. How he didn't get shot.
Charles Durning, that was great when he was screaming at him.
Yeah, I don't know how that guy didn't get shot when they pulled him out there and they were dragging him and
and then they dragged him into it. He was getting arrested.
He was cuffed.
Yeah, he was cuffed.
He was cuffed, and I was like, holy shit. Charles Durning was
during the opening credits, which was amazing, and they were playing Elton John's
Marine.
Yes. And they're showing, I mean, this takes place in a bank in Brooklyn, but
there's no musical score in this movie, by the way.
No
that's
music
another
at all,
thing
right?
I love about it. Yeah.
There's another song played on the radio. I have it.
Okay.
If anybody knows it.
I don't even remember it.
I don't know.
Uriah Heep's Easy Lovin'.
When is that played? When they're in the car driving to the postal?
No, it's when it's in the bank on the the alarm or whatever. It's playing. Yeah.
But they cut to like that whole thing is like New York, and they're showing everything. They're showing the people on the Upper West Side, and they're showing like Harlem, and they're showing everything. And it's taking place in a little bank in Brooklyn. Like they didn't need to go all over New York.
Like showing all the boroughs.
Did you notice during the opening scene when they're cutting to all that? There's someone walking at the camera, like there's no people, no stars in it, but just a person's walking at the camera, and then another couple comes walking in front of the camera, and the girl just grabs her boyfriend's ass, I'm like, she must have known they were filming. She's like, I'm gonna make sure, like when they use this scene, we're gonna know that's us in that scene. And so funny, she just grabs.
I think he said he went around just like in a car with the camera recording those shots.
Oh, really?
So someone might have saw
guerrilla filming kind of stuff.
Someone might have just saw someone recording.
They had the people that were living in that area because they were filming in that area. They said that they told them they would put them up at a hotel if they wanted to get away
from
extras. No, not the extras. The people that lived in those houses.
Oh, so they could use their places.
Use their areas and everything.
Gotcha.
And they were like, no, some people stayed, and they said if you stay, you could hang out the window and be a part of the movie. So that's what people were doing. They were hanging out at their windows and just.
I also saw this movie was shot in 32 days. Which is just, I feel so fast to me.
But it almost seems too long. It seems like they could have done it in like a long weekend.
I think you don't have a lot of locations. That makes it a lot easier.
It was weird because there's really only the bank and then like the vault and the pizza, where the barbershop where they were across the street and stuff like that. But it was weird because they like cut back to the airport a couple times. Just
for no reason,
randomly during the middle of it.
How loud the airport scenes are too.
Well, the scene where they get arrested, or he gets arrested at the end, is you couldn't almost hear him getting his Miranda rights. But they cut twice at least to the airport, where it's just like, what?
Police driving around.
There's a plane. Yeah, okay, great. Like I guess I could have assumed that they were getting a plane ready. You didn't have to show me the plane getting ready. It was just so weird. Like when they went to it, I'm like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, all right, they're just showing a plane. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then you go back, and it wasn't even dark out yet, so the plane's
a big shiny thing looks like a big Tylenol.
the first I even said something to you about this at work the other day. The first 10 minutes of it, I was like, is this a comedy? Like, did I misremember this? Because
I think there's a lot of humor in it.
It was funny at the beginning. Like what's the guy that drops out? Is that Robert or what's his name? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's Stevie.
Stevie. Okay. When he drops out and he's like, oh, there's a girl under the desk over there, and Al Pacino just comes around. It's Carol Kane. He's like, who's under here? Who's under here? He's like, hey, we got a little squirrel under here? And he's like, come out, squirrel. I'm like, I was laughing. I'm like, what is happening here?
I also love when the person calls in and they're asking him why he robbed the bank, and he's so confused, and he's like, there's money here.
He's like, there's money here. He's like,
I want the money.
He's like, why don't you get a job? He's like, you got to be union. He's like, what about non-union?
Stevie. Yep, Gary Springer.
My favorite part was when he was teaching the girl with his rifle.
Yes.
How to
and by the way, why do you take a rifle to it? That is such a thing that you have to
That was such a crazy gun, especially in that pop.
2 handguns.
You know what kind
2 handguns. That is so much easier to control than a big rifle like that.
I feel like stuff like that is just the way of showing that he clearly
they were so dumb and were just
it's also too in the beginning because he said it already started. Get out of here.
Yeah,
he said,
that was so
get by the
great
door. It already started. He said, and he's like, wow. He's like, he's got the gun out.
Yeah, that was crazy how quickly they got. I mean, the bank robbery starts on the first.
He said, "We're closing. Are you coming in?"
Yeah, and it's almost like it was screwed up from the second they walked in there.
It was accidental that Al Pacino has so much trouble getting the gun out, but it's so perfect.
He's kicking the box.
It perfectly
that was great.
That's so Pacino in his his blood pressure just exploding.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. But having a rifle there just seems so ill.
And I don't know. I loved all those bank tellers. They were so fun.
That was so funny. They had Nick Mouth and stuff like that. And okay, mouth. What are we doing here?
None of them seemed to mind to be there.
They were almost like what do you call that? Like Stockholm syndrome. They were
exactly. She was like, "They're my girls. I'm going back in there."
And the one's like, "Have a good flight, Sal. I don't want you to be nervous on your first flight."
Yeah, she gave him the beads.
And then he gets shot in the head.
Right in the head.
He wasn't getting
Spoiler alert. Apparently, when he was shooting the movie, he wanted people who weren't going to act. They were just going to be themselves if they were bank tellers, and they even wore all their clothes are their own clothes. It's not set clothes. He just wanted them to be them.
Yep.
I totally thought that the head bank teller, the woman that was the head bank, the one that was out with him saying, "Those are my girls, I'm staying with them." I thought that was Livia Soprano. When I first saw her, oh my God, I'm like, that's Mrs. Soprano for sure. I looked it up.
I think it's time for Andy's
No,
pool.
it's not. But I will also say that his father, Al Pacino's father, is Junior Soprano from Tony's uncle. That was
Dominique Chianese.
One scene where he was just like,
it's like that.
He's like, why is he robbing a bank? He lives off his mother or something like that. Or he's a sponge off his mother. That's Junior Soprano from Sopranos. Yeah. And it's a blink and you miss it scene. And as soon as he started talking, I was like, oh. I know who this guy is.
He said something about his mom, right?
He said, why do you have to rob a bank when you're sponging off your mom or living off your mom or something like that?
He was super old in this
his
movie,
parents were they look like they were 90 and he's a Vietnam vet. He's 22 years old or something. And I was kind of surprised. They didn't go into any of his, I felt that they needed to kind of say that he was a vet and maybe make it a little, and I don't think the other guy was a vet because I think he was really young. He was 18, but I felt they needed to bring that up.
Yeah.
This is what happens to these guys when they come back. And
the other guy was supposed to be some 18-year-old hot boy that they picked up at the gay bar or whatever, so I think. But.
Man, badly planned bank heist, man. Badly planned.
He's I can't do this.
And they didn't even go on a day where the money was all there. He told me the money was going to be here.
Was in there?
That was my Al Pacino. That was terrible.
Wasn't that Jimmy? Jimmy that told him that?
It might have been. Yeah.
Was Jimmy the one that he said Jimmy told me that?
Yeah.
But it was funny how Al Pacino was saying how he's like, I work in a bank. I know those are the dummy money, and how he put the the envelope or whatever under the $100 bill till so he could slide it out without.
He knew all the tricks.
He knew all the tricks.
He was perfect as a guy who kind of knew.
Right. Worked in a bank for a week and said, I know how to rob this place.
But didn't actually think about anything.
Yep. Worked in a bank for a week, said, this place is easy to rob. I'll just rob a bank because these people are all stupid.
Okay, that's fake. Don't grab that. Yep. Okay, I can take that. I can't take that.
And I do enjoy how it starts off and you're like, this guy, they don't know what they're doing at all. What are they doing? But the movie kind of slowly reveals and shows you that they were just super desperate men who just did this out of nowhere. But it doesn't, you don't know that in the beginning. And that's why I enjoyed rewatching it because I was like, knowing.
And I'm glad they
the
didn't do like
backstory.
flashbacks or anything to show you all that
Yeah.
stuff. They just kind of
You don't-
explain
it's
it
not
through
even-
the
you don't
dialogue.
need it. It's
They
not
don't-
needed.
It's
Yeah.
not even like
they show it through the
exposition.
dialogue.
Yeah,
He
it's
talks to
so
his wife. He talks
naturally,
to
yeah.
This movie's
Leon.
2 hours and 5 minutes, but it does not feel like a 2-hour movie because I felt like it moves along. I was not. This isn't a movie where I felt like I needed to have anything pulled out of it.
Yeah.
Like when we watch Beastmaster and those movies, a lot of Beastmaster are like
They could have pulled out those
hour,
2
40
scenes where they went
minutes.
to the airport and showed the plane for like, but it was like 30 seconds, so that doesn't really matter. It just seems so weird. Like, why are you cutting to that? It was almost like it was a transitional scene. Like, we're with Charles Durning, we're with the
I think
cops.
that's-
Now we're going to show the airport, just so you know. Now we're going to a different
That's a
location. Now we're
Sidney
going back to the
Lumet
bank.
thing, maybe too, like the cutting like that.
Maybe it was just very
You know,
randomly
if this
placed
movie
there.
was made today, it would not have ended where it ended. They would have gone on for like 15
Oh,
minutes.
it would have been so
And
we
bad.
would
Oh
have to
my
see
God.
the aftermath of
Yeah.
them, like
You're right.
you
we
know,
would have had to
what-
know what his mom was doing now.
We
What
would have
his
had to-
dad was doing now.
Well, they
what
wouldn't have given
Leon
you the
was
little
doing
write
now.
up at the end. They would have shown
Yeah.
what they
We
were
would have
doing
saw all the
now.
bank tellers now. We saw Maria who's probably pregnant now because her boyfriend probably left one inside her, you know?
So the only one in the bank
Sorry,
that I
I'm
knew,
sorry.
the only one that in the bank was obviously Carol Kane, the squirrel. She was
Cute.
the
Carol Kane
only
was cute.
person that I knew there. Obviously Charles Durning on this side. Leon,
Chris
who
Sarandon.
would go on to become Prince Humperdinck in Princess Bride.
Nominated for an Academy Award.
And
for this.
Carol
Just-
Kane in Princess Bride.
Wow, I
That's
just
right,
heard that.
Carol Kane in Princess Bride. Yeah. So that's the other scene that I
Good
wanted.
pull.
The other scene that I wanted to talk about, how great it was filmed, was the scene where Leon and Sonny were talking on the phone.
Improvised.
Well, not how it was filmed, because they had the FBI agents back, and like the shot is wide, and Leon's down in the corner on the phone, and they kept cutting back and forth between Al Pacino and then that scene. And I'm like, why do they keep showing the back of the FBI guy? Like Leon's in the corner,
Oh, Sheldon,
like on
right?
the phone.
Sheldon James Broderick. That guy, the FBI guy, the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
guy. Yeah.
He's sitting on the desk. It's his back is taking up 75% of the screen, and I didn't see Leon for like the first 4 times they cut back there. I'm like, why do they keep
It
showing
felt
this
like
guy?
Leon was
And
down
there's-
here,
and there's
right?
all this stuff going on in the background because all the cops are outside and they're all. You see them all talking. I'm like, is he back there? Like, what's going on? Then
He's down
finally,
here
I'm
in
like,
the corner.
oh, he's down there talking on the phone.
the
like,
corner, yeah.
yeah. I was like, wow, like that is crazy how they filmed
was
that.
weird the
'cause
way that was
They
filmed.
kept going back and forth that, and it took
And
at
you-
least the
like you
third,
said, if
maybe
you don't
fourth
know,
time.
you're looking around, you
Yeah,
don't
the
know where to
fourth
look.
time I was like, oh, he's down there. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's weird. I don't know. And then finally, then the camera just started swinging around, and then it
Yeah.
focused on him.
The scene where Al Pacino or Sonny is yelling with his mom. I saw that they gave her lines, but he was supposed to improvise that whole dialogue.
When he's talking to his mom,
Yeah,
oh, that
when
was a good scene.
when she shows up, so that it's like really shows that they're not on the same page at all. They're talking about completely different things. So that's why he had to improvise and respond to what
Yeah.
she was saying, and it makes no sense because her lines aren't supposed to make a lot of sense. And I was like, that was perfectly done.
Her mom is my pull. His mom.
Okay, what do you got?
She's Granny from the Addams Family
Values?
movies and Addams Family Value. Yeah.
Oh, really?
As soon as I saw her, I'm like, I know her. I know because you yelled at me for being on the phone.
Is she
And I was
from
just
anything
like,
else?
she's on
Like
the whole
I
time.
saw
Yeah, really.
those movies, but
He was
long
big.
time
Yeah,
ago.
It takes him a little longer
It does.
to search.
He was probably looking up 2 things the whole movie, but it just
Especially when
takes
he's going,
so long.
especially when he's going like
yeah.
smacking his finger in his phone. Can you keep that down? I'm trying to watch a movie over here.
I looked over and I stared at his screen, and
He
it was
let me,
on
like,
the same
20
page
times.
for 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't even yell at him because he's not like doing anything.
Oh, I thought he was just sitting there
he's
reading it, like-
attempting to do something.
What?
He's like, I'm watching as he just tries to shatter his
I
phone
was
with
just
his pointer
making,
finger.
I'm glad that you watched it with him because he had to watch it at 1.0
I was
speed.
no way I was letting him watch that at 1.5 speed.
Because he would have. You would have watched that at a
I probably would have started it at
And it's a very
1.25.
fast pace. The dialogue
Yeah, I
is
mean,
fast paced.
Could
But
you
once I
imagine
saw
if you-
Pacino, like once I realized how good Pacino is in this movie, like I really
This movie is
settled in.
all Al Pacino. Like
Yeah,
it
oh, yeah.
rests on his shoulders. If that's not, I mean, listen, I love Dustin Hoffman. I don't know if it's as good with Dustin Hoffman.
I don't think Dustin Hoffman is as good as Pacino in this, but I think Dustin Hoffman is good in this, but not.
Like Dustin
yeah.
Hoffman's a great actor. Like
Yeah.
he would probably be. We'd probably be talking now, going, I don't know if Al Pacino could have done it like Dustin Hoffman did, but you know,
I
you
don't
never
think
know.
Al Pacino could do The Graduate.
Nah, because
He's too
he had.
good look.
I was
he's
gonna say he had those
he's
like kind of
too-
like
he's too much of a man.
Yeah.
He's too much of an alpha.
he was such a kid in that. Dustin Hoffman. He looked like a kid.
It is he like it is very different though from like Michael from portraying Michael because Michael's calm,
in control all the time, except when he
the whole
smacks
time.
Kay,
I was gonna say
like,
when he smacks his wife, that's like the big explosion.
Yeah, but you're right. This was totally different than that.
She was asking.
I mean, when he was on the phone with his wife, that was one of my favorite parts too, because she's talking and talking and talking, and he's just trying.
Would you let me fucking talk?
Yeah, he just explodes.
You're
like,
that's
okay, that's
explode,
that
yeah.
marriage.
That's why he's with Leon.
Exactly.
It's crazy. She's talking about the Coney Island or the amusement park. She's like, "You wanted me to go on the ride."
I knew. I was like, I'm thinking,
like, the
everything's
dude's in
wrong. All the signs are wrong. It's pointing to something wrong. You're gonna shoot me. Are you gonna shoot me?
She was great. She was definitely.
I read
great.
this. I thought it was really interesting. Penelope Allen. She played the blonde chief bank teller. You know,
The one I thought was Olivia Soprano. Okay.
the main one. But she was a surrogate mother to Pacino. When he first left his home in his teens to pursue acting, he lived with her and her husband for several years.
So did Al Pacino cast this movie too? Was it all people
like
he
it seems like
wanted
it's
in?
all-
it?
I think it is a lot of people he wanted. Also, I think they're all like most of them are theater actors.
Okay.
and a lot
Well,
of
it
them
seems
had
like a
never
play.
done a
This is
movie
like
before,
one-
and it was their
yeah,
first.
one set.
this is something that you could do as a play.
You can
I
kind
mean,
of see that.
Yeah.
she would be his mother because like she's the first one to be like, "Why did you didn't think this through?" Like she's like yelling at him.
She was the one that had to go to
She's the run right in his
She's the
will
one that had to go to the
for him and stuff
bathroom
like
too.
that. Oh,
She
yeah,
had to go to the
that's right,
bathroom.
She's like asking him what his plan was. She's like, "You came in here, no plan, without a plan."
And it was funny.
he's just,
She's like,
shaking
Maria
his
was
head.
in the bathroom. She's only supposed to have 10 minutes.
Oh my God, she was in there the whole time. That was crazy. All of a sudden, there's another person. That's like something out of Pulp Fiction, where all of a sudden there was someone in the bathroom the whole time with a gun. Oh my God. Yeah.
Spoiler alert,
Oh
Pulp
my
Fiction.
God, this was so crazy, so ill-conceived. These guys, they should have done a
There's
better
so
job.
much to talk about that in this movie that we're not going to get into everything. There's like so many things.
All right, so the next couple things I want to talk about might be borderline offensive, so I don't know like how I want to handle these things, but like
we'll have to edit if we have
I think
to,
I can
right?
guess what aspect of this movie.
I think I know
where.
where
when
you're going, too.
when the news report first starts and Al Pacino, Sonny is an admitted homosexual, I was like, is that how they say that? An admitted homosexual? Like
There's a lot of
like,
negative stuff when all the other cops hear about like
they definitely
what
say
start calling him.
they
call
say
it
queer. He says
Yeah,
queer,
they call him
and
queer, yep.
Well, the crowd was rooting
when
for Sonny,
Leon-
and
when
they
the crowd
changed
was
all
rooting
well,
that.
they
for
had the
Sonny,
whole
yeah.
the gay pride group.
except the gay pride group, but most of the crowd switches on him when they find out he's gay.
But yeah, you're right. They do switch on him, and you can hear the mock when Leon says that he's a woman trapped in a man's body. Like one of the cops,
You hear him
snickers on
snickering.
and all the cops they kind of turn and
Durning's
look
looking
at
at him like,
yeah, they turn and look at him.
get the fuck out of here.
I know this is kind of like one of our joking things we talked about when
I
we were
didn't
doing
joke
our
about
19
that. I don't
no
know what
no
he's about to
when we were
say.
joking around about our 1982 movies and how much an abortion cost and stuff like that.
Well, $250.
I was
if you're
shocked
good
that in
looking and,
1972 sex change operation
was
or
$2,500, yeah.
gender reassignment surgery, as we would say today, is $2,500.
that seemed cheap.
That's like nothing. Like,
I thought about trying it and then
It's like
coming
an
back.
X-ray.
You know?
like working a
For
little
$5,000.
work a little overtime. You can just get that done. I was kind of.
It didn't seem like it would take much to get to $2,500.
And then to end the whole gay conversation, when the news report's saying about the two homosexuals that are in the bank robbing the bank, and Sal is like, he said I'm a homosexual. You tell him right now that's not true. And then when the doctor comes in to check on the bank manager who's going through the diabetic shock, he's like, you tell them I'm not a homosexual.
He said-
I was like,
he said-
that's what you're worried about here. That is what you're worried about.
Anyway, he says, why did you have to tell him outside? He said he wanted to talk to him outside.
Oh, because I mean, Sonny wasn't setting him up, right? He said he was not setting him up, but
Nah.
kind of felt like he set him up a little bit.
But they implied that they're going to take out Sal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
We're
weird
going to
that
take
like
care of him. We'll take care
I
of
mean,
him.
Yeah.
I feel like in today's day they wouldn't have killed him. They would have tried. I mean, I think there was a possibility they could have taken him alive.
I think in
they
today's
took Al
world-
Pacino alive very easily.
In
They
today-
just grabbed his gun and held it up.
In
and-
today's world, I think that he would have shot himself. I think that's
maybe,
what we would
maybe.
have we would
And
have having it.
I know we haven't talked about him yet as a character actor yet, but Lance Hendrickson. Lance Hendrickson, obviously Bishop from the Alien movies. He was the cop that shot Sal. But that was great how he kept saying, like, remember, Sal, just keep your gun up. Keep your gun up. It's like, dummy.
We're going to
Should
hit a
have, like,
bump.
pressed it against the back of his head, like, I'm not going to shoot you. Don't worry about it.
And Sal's like a 3-year-old. He's like,
oh, sorry. And it's like, you're
Well,
asking.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't want to.
But he said it to him at least twice. Like, remember, Sal, we're just
Yep.
going to drive a little here. Don't, we don't want any mistakes. Just point your gun up in the air. Like, Okay.
You're like, it's almost.
So my one piece of leverage, I'm not going to use as leverage. Like I'll just throw it out the window then.
There's plenty of times when they were in there, like, Sonny was over here, and then Sal was like, "What are you doing?"
I feel like, especially in the scenes where Sonny was outside, there could have been a sniper on Sal at that point. And just like take them out, take them both out right now. Because, I mean, Al Pacino was outside for minutes on end, just running around and screaming.
Al Pacino got tackled.
Yeah, right. That was it. That should have ended it right there.
They should have taken him in the cuffs then.
And his rifle.
But they were afraid. They were afraid
Well,
that
rifle was just laying around the bank.
Yeah.
The entire those tellers, half the tellers picked it up.
Right. And well, at one point, even he had to take it out of Sal's hands. Oh, that's mine. Like, thanks for holding for me.
If they had taken Sonny into custody, though, I truly believe Sal would have just
shot everybody.
Sal would have shot everybody.
But I think you had 10 snipers up there. One of them would have hit him.
Yeah.
Just take him out.
I don't know if Sal was in the back. Of the
he
bank
was in the back of the
entire
room
time.
most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were like on the ground. They would look in and they could see right in there. They were like, look outside, and you could see that it was the insurance guy first, and then it was. Because why did he light that fire? What a dummy!
Yeah, that was dumb.
What,
burning the
records? Just take him with you.
He's burning
what are you doing?
I'm burning the register.
So there were some great lines in this movie that I don't want to miss out on. One of them, of course, was Sal's like, "I don't want cancer."
The Attica.
When the pizza delivery guy brought the pizzas,
I'm
he turns around, "I'm a fucking star." I was like, "That's great." And my favorite, or there were two favorite lines. One was when Al Pacino got tackled and they dragged the guy away, and Charles Durning looks at him and goes, "You know how these Spanish are." I was like,
"Oh, yeah.
Nice." And
because his wife's in there. That's what,
yeah,
that's what it is,
And my favorite one, oh, please tell me I wrote it down. After the bank teller tells Sonny he's like, "You don't know what you're fucking doing here," and stuff like that, and he apologizes to him, to the tellers. He's like, "I'm sorry for my language back there," and stuff like that. And one of the girls is like, what did he say? And she's like, "The F word." And the one girl whispers it in the other one's ear, and then the one lady goes, shit.
Oh, what did she say?
I'm a Christian and my ears are not garbage cans.
Yeah.
I was like, I will use that line for the rest of my life, especially after I use those words.
I had a question I wanted to ask everybody.
My ears are not garbage cans.
There's a question I did want to ask everybody, though. Is there any special country you would want to go to?
I want to go to Wyoming.
I love the way he says it too.
He's like, that's not a country.
That's not a country. And Algeria,
that was improvised too.
Algeria was like a big place to go to at that time because they had non-extradition with the U.S. and they were Russian backed and stuff like that.
The lady that played Sonny's mom, I thought looked like Cherry O'Terry.
Okay.
Oh my God! Yeah,
yes, for sure.
Very much so.
You know, and do you know what the name
I
of the
thought
bank
that at
was?
the same time.
The name of the bank in the movie?
First Bank of Brooklyn or something like that.
I don't remember.
It was a Chase Bank, wasn't it?
In real life,
in real life,
yeah.
it was,
But in the movie, it was Andy was close. It was the First Brooklyn Savings Bank.
Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's what, like, I knew it was in Brooklyn, and I kept thinking back, like, they just showed us in the beginning, like, Manhattan for 10 minutes. I was like, they want to just establish it's New York. And I mean, they showed everywhere. They showed Coney Island.
I think they showed all the boroughs.
They showed all the boroughs. They were all over the place. But I was like, it's taking place on a little block in
They even
Brooklyn.
showed the Twin Towers.
They did. They showed the Twin Towers. They showed Harlem.
Which they shouldn't have, because it was 1982, and I believe they weren't completely...
Oh, you're right. They didn't get
They weren't
finished
finished until 83.
73.
73,
but by the time they filmed it in 75, you're right. Yeah, that's true. It is true.
Whatever happened to them?
They're still there. They combine it into one building now.
Oh, all right.
It's much better now.
A lot of extra space over there.
Yeah, yes.
It's 21 years. We're allowed to say something now.
I have talked about all my notes except my one super poll that I want to bring
You were talking
up.
about lines in the movie. Is this line specific to the movie when he says, when a man kills me, I want him to do it because he hates me, not because it's his job?
That was crazy, right? Yeah.
I love that
like
line,
that line,
but I
yeah.
don't know if that was from, like, I feel like I'd heard that before.
I don't know if it was from
But
anywhere
I didn't know if it was
else,
from
yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon, but I
might
love that
be.
line.
That was a great line. So when the news was playing and that was when they first saw that they were on the news and stuff like that. It cut away and the Looney Tunes music started playing. I'm like, great, they were watching cartoons. You know, I always hated that when I was home and like they preempted my cartoons for like stupid news events. I was like, I don't care.
There was an earthquake in Haiti.
I don't care that the Pope was shot. Bugs Bunny was just about to do something to Elmer Fudd. God damn it. Anyway, the news anchor on the TV. I'm watching a 1975 movie with a black and white TV with the wavy lines all waving through it. And I heard his voice and I was like, I know that guy's voice. I know his voice. And I rewound it.
Here's the poll.
And I listened to it again and I'm looking and I see him. And I'm like, I know who this guy is. I knew exactly what he was from. I didn't know his name. His name is William Bogert, Bogert. He is, if you were ever a fan of the Chappelle Show,
I am
the white guy that like the black KKK episode where
the guy that does the talking,
the white guy that was like interviewing him. He's like, why did you decide to join the KKK?
I know.
He is the news anchor on the TV. I'm so glad. It hit.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
It's like 30 years later.
I heard his
because
voice.
I was thinking Chappelle Show. I was like, there's a lot of nobody that old on there. I'm thinking
it's that old white guy that's like on.
That's awesome.
Multiple skits of the Chappelle Show.
Voice,
He's got a great voice, and apparently, I looked him up after the fact. He did.
Andy with the pull.
I'm so happy you didn't pull that out. He was like not really an actor, but kind of like a voice guy, and had done a thing in '64 for the Republicans. He was not Barry Goldwater Republican, whoever the other Republican group was at that time. I don't know that election. That was like the election, I guess, after Kennedy got killed. So it was Johnson against somebody. But he did a big kind of why I'm a Republican, why I would never vote for Barry Goldwater, this Republican. It was like a big deal that like, but it was him that did this. I mean, I guess it was just an ad for the Johnson campaign. And like, it was one of those things that people still talk about to this day, like that ad that they ran in 1964. So it was that guy. He was in Dog Day Afternoon. And he was on the Chappelle Show.
That was awesome.
What a catalog.
And Harvey Firestein.
You got two rounds of applause tonight.
Thank you. Harvey Firestein was one of the gay guys at the protest.
That was my poll.
Harvey Firestein was there?
Yeah.
Yes, he was there. It was definitely Harvey Firestein.
I was trying to explain to Brady today at work who
With
Harvey
the voice of
Firestein
Harvey
was.
Firestein.
I was like, did you ever see? I'm like, did you ever see like Hairspray? Did you ever see any of this? I'm like, oh, Independence Day, which I know you never saw.
Never saw it.
He was Jeff Goldblum's best friend, and when the aliens are attacking, he's like,
so that's how you knew.
He's like, I gotta call my mother. I gotta call my sister. I gotta call my lawyer. Yeah, fuck my lawyer. That was like his best line. Yeah, but he was in that too. But
nice,
and he wasn't in the credits. William Bogert was.
William Bogert
as TV announcer.
Not in the credits. Tell me
Did
why.
you wait till was it in the end that you realized it when you
No.
were watching
As soon as it happened in the movie, I rewound it right then. I'm like, oh, I know who this guy is. And I listened to his voice again. I'm like, where do I know him from? And I thought about it. I'm like, I think he's the guy that interviews. Is it Clancy Biggums in Chappelle?
Clayton.
Okay.
Clayton Bigsby.
Clayton Bigsby. There it is. There's the name. And he did a couple other Chappelle things.
Yeah.
I think he even did like when they did like the James Lipton kind of, let's do Dave Chappelle's career and let's do it inside the actor's studio kind of thing. I think he did that on stage.
What's your favorite curse word?
But it was more like, and then you played a young black man in Vietnam
and he was like, and he goes
and stuff like that. Yeah. He was like, Dave's like kind of like, yeah. But yeah, I heard his voice first. I knew his voice from somewhere.
I gotta watch the Chappelle Show again.
Well, I watched a lot of Chappelle recently because my father-in-law has been here. He's also a fan, and the Pluto TV version of Chappelle Show is unedited. It is insane. The language
I love
on that
Pluto.
show.
I love Pluto TV not only because of the 24-hour Love Boat channel. There's also a 24-hour Price is Right Bob Barker era.
Wow.
There's also a 24-hour Johnny Carson channel. I don't know.
I love that. I love that. I put that on
the Johnny Carson.
I love Johnny Carson.
This is Pluto TV?
Yeah, it's a free app.
But it's multiple channels. Like you could just watch 24 hours.
They got like a whole bunch of old movies. They got a whole bunch of like old game shows, old TV shows. Happy Days channel. There's like a It's all
Our new fan Andrew found us because of the Love Boat. And he hopes we do more
that's-
Love Boat episodes.
So that's 2 Canadian fans of ours that found us through the Love Boat.
Thank you.
That we've stopped doing the Love Boat on them. Like,
I didn't want to stop doing the
did
Love
Canadian
Boat.
Andrew continue listening to
he
us after?
continued listening after.
So we're like a drug. We get him in with Love Boat, and then we give him, then we shoot him right in the veins with
Does Andrew want to come on?
Maybe we should ask him. I got his email.
Would we have Andrew and Kevin on? Or would that be too hard to do?
That's too many Canadians in one spot.
Yes.
That's
But
like
they
half
probably
of them.
wanted to, unless they know each other. But
That would
you
be
know,
fuck-
Canada's so small.
I know it'd be fucked up if they knew each other though.
It's
kinda
only
want
the
them not
biggest
to.
country in the world.
Just land wise,
Yes.
population wise, it's like 100th. There's like 3 people. Like Toronto's like the size of like Trenton.
I think it's a little bigger.
I know. I'm just trying to. I'm going through my notes. I just want to see. Make
Kim's
sure
Convenience is there.
What else you got? Anything else you
well-
got? Don't. If you got it, bring it up. Let's hear it.
Brady is your
Trying to
favorite
think.
movie.
I know. I'm trying to think.
Time
of what
to
we
shine.
haven't.
Brady has
we haven't-
talked a lot about this. Brady has done a
Yeah.
great job tonight.
I'm trying to think of what we haven't touched on yet. I guess just how short Al Pacino is when he's trying to spray the vents and he's
Here you go, Dominic.
jumping up and down. He looks so tiny. The counter's higher than
Oh, when he had to spray when he was doing the cameras,
yeah,
he had to
yeah.
get
Oh,
drive
it was
the
the
chair
cameras, not the
over and
vents.
He's-
spray that.
the chair was still not enough. He wasn't reaching it.
Yeah.
But Dominique Chianese was only 9 years older than Pacino.
I mean, so was he like 35 or something like
He
that?
was only 9 years older. It says.
I mean, I don't know what
years.
Pacino was in this, but
Oh.
like, that's crazy.
We should talk about how sweaty the movie.
Well, just
movie
because
is.
they turned the air off and they were
Yeah,
just all
they did, yeah,
gross.
they were all just
oh
like-
yeah,
Oh my god,
they did a
Al
great job with
Pacino's-
like the costuming of that. It felt like it was filmed
Well,
like just that day.
Sydney Lumet, that's yeah, he did all the makeup himself because he thinks makeup artists like don't match what
Make
he
him too
wants.
pretty or something like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, so
okay.
he wanted to do the sweat glistening himself, so he did it for Al Pacino at least.
I got one for you here. James Broderick brought his 12-year-old son to the set to meet Al Pacino. You know who his
James
son was?
Broderick.
No.
Oh, Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick. Yeah.
Oh.
Matthew Broderick was his son. He brought him to the set to meet Al Pacino. And director Sidney Lumet, 14 years later, would direct Matthew in.
Oh, was he the director of? Oh, don't tell me! Don't tell me! Don't tell me! God damn it!
Ferris Bueller's
No. The
Election?
mob. Family Matters.
Business.
Family business.
Family
Family
Business.
business. Great movie.
Freshman too was a mob one.
Yes.
But Family
this was.
Business
But
was,
Family Business was
okay.
almost like a Godfather-ish kind because Brando's in it.
Pacino,
And
Oh, really?
Or, De Niro, right? Was
De Niro-
in it?
De
Brando's
Niro?
in Freshman.
or maybe I'm getting Freshman and Family Matter. Fucking Family Matters. Family Business mixed up.
That's Urkel.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I've never watched Family Matters, but it's in my brain for some reason.
Oh, I've watched that.
I believe we were talking about
He's watched it.
must see
Stop it.
TV or something like that.
He's
I was
watched
like,
it. Don't let him.
I've
fool
never
you.
actually ever watched an episode of that.
Okay.
That was on when I was like doing stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't do
Yeah, you
anything
have to
now.
have seen.
I had a
Steve
family
Urkel, though.
band by then. So
Oh, that's right. What were you like 18? Brady, don't follow your father's footsteps.
He's already not.
Oh, he's way ahead.
This
of
was
the curve.
James Broderick's final film. Did you know?
Wait, James Broderick, Matthew Broderick's father.
This was his final theatrical film appearance. It says.
Oh, did he die? Like
I don't
soon after?
know.
Did Matthew kill him in a car accident after this?
Matthew said, "You know what? You took me there to meet Al Pacino. You embarrassed me in front of Al Pacino." And then he killed him.
yeah, that was what Brady would do to me.
If you embarrass me in front of Al Pacino, I mean,
Well, I guess so, because he died November 1st, 1982.
That's
So
that's
this came
8
out
years
September.
later.
Oh, this is 75.
Yeah, this is a long time
70.
later, yeah.
I keep thinking it's 8. We're
Well,
doing
who was
80.
James Broderick?
He was Sheldon, the FBI.
The FBI, the main FBI guy.
Oh,
The-
okay. The guy who looks like George Bush.
The guy who had like
Okay, yeah.
the guy who looked like he had the flat head. It
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
He was the one that was blocking Leon when they were filming that scene.
I like that bank teller right there.
Okay.
I don't know what her name was.
They didn't do a very nice job of lighting that vault and stuff like that to see. I don't think we.
You know what they said? They
Was
the,
it all
on- the only
ambient
light
light?
the only light that they used was light that was in the bank.
Okay,
Real
so it was
bank.
all just
the
real
light
light.
that they actually had from outside.
It definitely felt dark a lot of the times.
Yep. And
Oh, Christine's calling Brian.
it was
She's
meant to-
like,
That's
hurry.
Connor
Put,
calling.
Like,
put
wrap
him
it
on the
up.
podcast, but you got to let him know he's on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Connor, you're on the podcast. Oh, hold on. What's that?
You guys are still going.
Yes.
Oh, I thought Brady's bedtime was at 9.
Did he call just to zing you?
I'm glad Connor didn't call and say like, yeah, Carrie and I are in the bottom of a ditch. Please come get us now.
Or like he's like, yeah, take us off the podcast. Take us off the podcast.
Or he's calling because his arm is shattered in half.
Oh, no. Oh,
Needs
yeah,
a
right.
ride.
Now that we've mocked him, is everything okay?
Yeah, we're good over here. I'm just
The pause took.
If you know where the water conditioner is,
Oh.
fish tank.
No, this is great podcast content.
The water conditioner for the fish.
Yeah, I know. This is very riveting stuff.
Connor, what's your opinion on Dog Day Afternoon?
He hasn't watched it yet.
Oh, I thought he watched it with you guys. No.
No, he was at the gym.
Wait, but Connor was at the gym without Brady?
Yeah.
I went earlier in the day so I could watch it. I was devoted.
Yeah, he wanted to do this movie. Yeah.
Broke our bromance.
He took too long. He was at the gym for like 3.5 hours. He could have watched it with us.
Oh my God! Well, I've seen his ass. I mean, he's definitely shows that he's been there. Only through shorts, not unclothed.
If I have any water conditioner, it'll be in the box downstairs by the water, those water filter things. There's a box up with a lot of pet stuff in it.
We've lost all our Canadian listeners now.
I was gonna say, I think, what's his name? The new Andrew.
Andrew,
Maybe he's really
I'll
into
look
this
around
thing.
for it.
All right, thank you.
I want to. Dude, I want.
Interruption. Continue your fun.
Thanks, Connor.
Bye.
I want to shout out to Mac. Sal's machine gun is a Smith & Wesson M76 with a shortened barrel and the stock removed. That's from Mac.
Now, I thought it was odd that they could get a hold of something like that.
well, he was ex-military. Maybe he just took it home with him or something like that.
True.
There was no waiting period back then.
True.
Thanks, dude.
You don't usually burp when you drink. Or, I know. What's that?
He's
called?
trying to be cool in front of his brother. He's like, look, cool I am.
I'm the producer.
I actually
And
took
nothing is cooler
an
than burping into a
Alka-Seltzer.
mic.
an
Nothing
Alka-Seltzer
proves you're
before
awesome more
the
than that.
podcast. So I'm a little inflated.
Cassie.
Yeah.
The podcast listeners are like two
The
podcast
listener.
listeners know way too much about your insides and your bodily functions.
That's why we talk about it so much. We figure they want to know more.
That's true.
If they're still listening now, they need to know more about Brian's inside.
I guess that's more interesting than your water filters and fish.
Yeah,
tank
that was
stuff.
bad job on Connor. He should have brought more to the podcast there. He should have been like,
that was a terrible question.
The zing was nice in the
Yes.
beginning, though.
That
You
was-
started off
I mean,
strong.
it sucked that it had to be against you, but I mean,
just leave that part in. You know,
that was
Brady's bedtime's
This is
9.
the final film for Howard, the bank, the security guard.
Oh, the asthmatic, not the
It
diabetic.
was his final film, yeah.
Damn. What was his first film? Did he do a lot of films?
Al Pacino and Carol Kane would reunite 45 later in the TV series Hunters.
They were in Hunters. That was a great show. I like that show. Nazi
Did
Hunters.
it only do one season?
so far?
Right?
Yeah.
Are they doing a second?
I don't know.
Because I think Al Pacino's not well anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
he's
think
probably
he's
almost 80.
Yeah, I think he's up there where it's almost like.
Well, it's getting hard to understand what he's
so
saying.
it might be where he has to start staying home. and
I was
not-
hanging out with my parents the other day. And my dad said his doctor told him to start doing speech therapy. He was like, "What's the point?" I was like, "I can understand you. What's he telling you? What are you saying?" I will not have my dad on the podcast. My mom will come on.
Yeah.
She can still talk.
Well, 83. Any movies that your mom might want to do, like Private School?
Maybe. Return of the Jedi. We're gonna have like 50 people down here for Return of the
Return
Jedi.
of the Jedi. There's a lot of people that want a piece of that.
Yeah.
Trading Places seems like the most fun one to be on. That's
Trading
the best. I love
Places,
that movie.
man.
More than what? We don't have a guest for Trading Places, do we?
Isn't that like next Christmas or something? I don't think we booked anybody yet for the guests.
I mean,
on those
get in
episodes.
on it. I
I
mean,
love that movie.
Yeah.
A year out.
He's
I
in.
could talk about that last 25 minutes that when they're at the stock exchange. I could talk about that for the rest of my life and still not understand what they're doing.
We,
there.
we were watching that, and it was my first time watching it, and Connor's first time watching it when we were. What was that? Like a year ago? I don't know. But when they're in the bathroom, and it's just revealed what's actually going on.
when they're like just like cleaning up, getting ready to go out there, and then they just
Yeah.
come walking out of the bathroom, and it's insanity on the stock exchange
Well,
floor.
just like they start,
Such a-
you start finding out what's really going
one
on.
guy runs by, a couple people go running by, and then it turns, and you just see. And that's when Dan Aykroyd starts doing that great monologue where he's like, that's the silver pit over there. That's the gold pit over there. That's the frozen.
Save it for the Trading
concentrated-
Places podcast.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah?
Sorry. Let's do that now.
Either bring it back.
I'll bring it back with Harvey Firestein.
Excuse me.
What do you?
Are we getting close to? Do you have any?
Wait, Brady's gonna say
Well, I
something.
was just gonna talk about the ending of the movie, like because it's the end.
Yeah, that's why I want to get
end.
to people and start
Like,
talking
what
to
do
the
you
end because
think
we're
of
gonna get to the end.
The ending of the movie, like the whole car to the airport.
I
scene.
thought it was actually kind of anticlimactic because I guess I knew what was going to happen. So I was like,
I could see that. Yeah.
I was like, all right.
My
I'm like,
favorite part
it's
of that
ending
scene
now.
was the way all the cop cars were just like really fast in the circle.
They're-
and all just
they're
like and they all
turning
like
around and stuff like that,
hiding
but-
around to get in line to go.
Having
I thought
watched
that was
it-
cool the way because it looked from above.
Yeah.
as it was doing that, you were seeing it from above.
Since I watched it for the first time recently, I will say it was like so tense when I didn't know what was going
It
to
was
happen.
super tense
I was-
anyway
Especially
because you
the
don't.
volume got really loud too.
Yeah,
that
and
makes
just
it more
also
tense.
him,
planes are
him-
so loud, you
it's
can't hear
so
anything.
loud, and then him reminding Sal to keep
Yeah.
the gun up. It's like you're just like
You're
oh
like,
my
come on,
God,
Bishop, you're better
what
than
is
this,
gonna
man.
happen?
Yeah,
It's amazing he had so much hair back then, Lance Henriksen.
yeah, it was a lot, right?
Well, a lot more by the time you see him next in Aliens, he doesn't have that much.
What do you
more.
got in your notes?
His mental notes.
Any notes?
Mom was Granny. And Addams
That was a good
Family.
one. Yeah,
So pitiful.
but he watched the movie at 1.0.
Yeah.
Well, only because he was sitting next
I
to
know.
his
So
son, probably.
maybe if you could watch the movies with them a little more often, even though if you're not on, if we would
I
really
will.
appreciate it.
I'll
Yeah.
make sure. Makes me mad when I find out he watches it in 1.5.
Or he tells us, "Oh, I skipped over that whole 40 minutes." It's like what?
Oh, it was like 20 minutes till the end, so I just decided to end
That's
it there. Like, what?
That's like a thing in my family, and I can't stand it. They'll watch a TV show or a movie, and they'll just like skip 40 seconds.
No, you don't.
And I'm just
do
like,
that.
what? Mainly my sister, but I'm just like, what are
really?
you
So
doing?
it's an Alpin trait then. So
That's what I'm
something-
saying because honestly, it's my mom doesn't. It's just my sister and him, but they skip scenes.
You know what's funny? I've done that with
weird.
like not skip scenes, but like with books. I've read 300 pages into a 700 page book and then just been like, you know what? I'm not enjoying this. And I just stop reading it.
That's a
And
lot of
I know.
dedication.
And it's like I've gone
That's quite
so
the
far-
commitment
I've gone
to-
so far. Like I'll give you an example. 11/22/63, Stephen King's
Mhm, yeah.
time travel book. And oh my God, it is breathtakingly awesome for like the first 200 pages. Like I couldn't believe how great this book was. I mean, every time I'm turning the pages like, because the guy goes back in time and he goes back to Deary, Maine in 1958 when it is like killing kids and he's like kind of seeing all this happen from he's watching it all happen. I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant writing. And then it becomes unbrilliant. And he's just in Texas, and
like it falls off that fast. dude?
well, no, he goes to Florida for like a year, and then he goes to Texas for a year. But the problem is that he goes back in time to 1958. Kenny doesn't get killed till 1963, so he's got a yada yada for like a bunch of years, and he gets to Texas, and I was just like, I can't continue with this. Like it was like I was like looking ahead, going like, oh my God, he's still just talking to this school teacher. I'm like, what is? I'm like, how much longer is this going on for? I
Have
was
you
like,
watched the
I'm done.
miniseries?
And I did watch the miniseries, and I
heard
liked
that
it.
was
James
good.
Franco, yeah, I actually liked it. And
Was that
they
good?
cut out all that. Well, they also cut out all the stuff with it too because they don't have the rights to that. So they didn't, he never went to Deary in 1958. He only like time traveled one time. But no, I liked it. I like
Is that
James
how it's
Franco.
pronounced? Deary?
Derry.
I don't know. That's
I don't know.
never-
I've only read it.
I would
Dar-
say
Dairy.
I would say
Dairy.
dairy. I think.
Dairy?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how it's
Derry. Okay.
Dairy.
Dry. Actually, I think it's dry.
Dairy.
Yeah.
Derry. Dairy,
Derry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dairy.
not
Dairy.
Deary.
I think it would be two E's for Deary, right?
Yeah.
I would think it'd be EA for dairy or an AI for dairy. English is hard.
Perry
Yeah.
is spelled Perry.
You know what's funny about a conversation like this? When you only have read it and not know how it's pronounced, the character of Negan, everybody that read the comic before it came out thought it was Negan.
Yeah.
Because it's spelled like Negan. And then all of a sudden they released this Negan character. And everybody's like, Who the hell is that? It's spelled Negan.
Speaking of Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan just signed on for season 4 of The Boys.
I saw that. Yeah.
Is he going to be?
Didn't say what his role is going to be, so
He's got to be a villain.
possibly something to do with.
He can't not be a villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect villain. So yeah, I mean, is he going to be something to do with Soldier Boy? Or
Is he Soldier Boy's dad? So now we've linked Soldier Boy to Homelander. We're gonna
get the whole family.
Yeah,
we're gonna get the
they're gonna
whole
go back to like the
generations.
1800s with. It's gonna be like Yellowstone, where they keep going back like 50 more years and 50 more years, and
I like it.
It's gonna
Let's
be-
do it.
it's gonna be like the Civil War with superheroes and stuff like that.
That'll be fun.
Oh, they already did Civil War with superheroes. They called it Civil War. Great movie, by the way.
Oh, there was a good one. That was good. I like that one.
I saw that one.
Yay.
No, yeah, that was good input.
You guys have any other input, Andy?
That was great.
Did you get through your notes?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, you got through your notes.
Yeah, I think
you got
His
through yours?
mental notes.
Anything down there? I think we're going to hit up our scores.
They didn't even
right?
watch it.
She watched a few minutes.
Oh yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing? No, you didn't watch the whole thing, but you found it boring anyway, huh?
Are you going to give it a score?
I don't want a few minute score. That's not fair.
How did you spell your name again, though?
FYKA.
That's what I thought. I should have just went with it.
That's what you thought. Yeah.
I did. I
We
was
couldn't
like,
figure out what Deary or Dairy like.
you're saying Dari.
And did I say Princess Leia or Leia or however
Yeah,
you
he
didn't
said
like
that
me
wrong,
saying
too.
it?
I
I
feel like
obviously-
you
I
always
feel like
call her
He
name
says
wrong.
Princess Leia. He says.
I've heard, but I've also heard him say Leia. I feel like you go back. and
No,
forth
he doesn't
almost.
because we had
Really?
to. We,
Come on,
can-
Maybe
listen,
it's because
he
he's
says
talking
Leia all
about
the time.
saying.
we just say
it
Princess
wrong.
Leia over top of him, and he's
Oh,
thinking
okay.
he'll get the hint, but he doesn't
He
get
was
it.
Han Solo, and then Lando Calrissian comes out and goes Han. I'm like,
That's just 'cause
everybody can pronounce any name any way they want. in
Billy
this-
D.
in this-
Williams just does what he wants.
I had a bottle of Colt
He had a Colt
45.
45. He
He's
could
like,
do
I don't know what
it.
I'm doing out here.
Who wants to kick-
Andor.
Who wants to
whatever.
start us off with their score?
I want to hear Brian Alpin score first because I don't want him to be
Yeah,
influenced
'cause
by
I'm-
anybody else's scores.
This is the score I was
I've
most
heard
curious
way
about.
too many times where I say a score and you're like, I was just about to say the same thing. Bullshit. You're not saying the same thing this time. Say
I am
your score.
seconding that. You do say that a lot.
I'm a little worried he's like going to be confused how they got a safe in a bank.
You know what?
and the
All his
logistics
not
of
getting
getting
his score
a
doesn't even
desk
matter.
inside.
Also,
it
wait,
doesn't even matter.
before he says his score, when he gave us 60 the other day, he said that was good. That's good for me. Whatever
He's
the
such
hell,
a hard
whatever the
judge.
hell that's supposed to mean.
When you're watching so much South Korean teen softcore porn, your scoring system gets skewed. You don't know what you're rating it on anymore.
You know what? I'm going to give it a bad score now.
Now, give it your real score, please.
The score that popped into my head was 72.
Why?
You know what? That's not that bad for you. I would have thought lower for you because
Why?
I would have thought
I
this
know.
plot would have been too confusing for you. A lot of dialogue.
Too
You
much
wouldn't know
cutting.
what's going
See,
on.
it's
It's
going-
pretty complicated when you think about it. It's not. There's no school for magical girls.
I mean, there were
it's a little
two whole
confusing.
sets. There was the one across the street, and then the other one across. There were like 6 main characters talking.
And what brings you to 72?
72 for Al Pacino. Like for someone who I'm not always thrilled.
Why
when I
don't you
see
like
him in a
Al
movie.
Pacino?
I don't know. It just he seems like a super over actor. And
I think you think of Scent of a Woman when you think of that, but
I
that's
do.
not. That's
very
not.
much
That was
so.
that role.
Yeah, that's not
It's
Al
supposed to be like
Pacino.
that.
That's that role.
Yeah.
He's not an over actor. Not in
He gets into the
Godfather.
role.
Not in
well, that's what I'm
Scarface.
saying. The Godfather. I loved him in
Carlito's Way.
Godfather, and this I thought he was incredible.
and
in.
Carlito's Way is awesome in
He's
that.
really
And
good in
Scarface-
I
Carlito's
didn't-
Way.
I
That's a
didn't see
good one, man.
Carlito's
That's really
Way.
good.
So good. I'm sure there's other ones. I'm not Jack and Jill. There's other ones I'm missing.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I gave this score. I said earlier I like this movie a lot. I would put it in my top 10. My top 10 changes a lot, obviously, but it would be in my top 10. I'm giving it a 95. I love this movie. It's up there with E.T. This movie is that great. It's rewatchable. I would love to watch it again. I will watch it again, and I recommend this highly. 95 for Dog Day Afternoon. It was a surprise when I heard that you were picking this movie. I got really excited because obviously I love this movie, and I was excited to watch it. It was $2.99 to rent because it was nowhere streaming.
Oh yeah, I rented this also on Amazon.
I did not rent it. I bought it for $5.99
I think I'd rather
because I
physically own a copy of this.
I own it physically on YouTube.
I give this movie an 85. I really liked it a lot. It's not one of my all-time favorites. It's not my
What'd you
favorite.
give it? I'm sorry?
85.
85?
It's not my favorite Pacino. It's not my favorite Charles Durning. That would be Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
James Broderick.
It might be my favorite James Broderick.
But it's his favorite Harvey Firestein.
No, Independence Day would be that. And but I like this a lot, man. It's all
Is
rests
your
on
favorite guy from Chappelle's Show? No, Chappelle's Show's your favorite.
this all rests on Al Pacino. It's all him. I've never seen a movie where, I mean, if you take him out of it, 95% of the movie goes away. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a lot of movies where there's a single star, but man, it's all him and his acting.
As much of a star as he is in this, the little parts of each bank teller, each role that they had, their part was perfect. Like that girl had to go to the bathroom, you know, that girl that was like passed out, you know, it's just like I love
girl playing with the gun.
Girl playing with the gun, yeah. It's just
should have just shot them both.
Yeah. Carol King,
I
just being her cute self.
Stupidly
You know what I
did
mean?
not look up who won Best Actor this year. I know
it should have.
Why it wasn't Al Pacino.
I don't know who won.
Al Pacino has been notoriously overlooked by the Academy. Not that who gives a fuck about the Academy Awards, but you know, he's one of the greatest actors of all time. And I think he won one time, and I think it was for Scent of a Woman, which I'm kind of like, really? How did he not win for either Godfather 1 or 2, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Carlito's Way, Scarface, like all these awesome movies that he did? Like,
ironically, the Best Actor Oscar would go. All right, Pacino went up against two more of his co-stars, James Caan, Robert Duvall.
Wow,
all are relative newcomers, but the Oscar went to Joel Grey for Cabaret.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
That is. I've never seen Cabaret. I don't need to see Cabaret.
I don't even know who Joel Grey is.
Yeah, and is that Liza Minnelli?
That's Liza Minnelli. I think we're gonna have a Cabaret viewing.
Nah, fuck that. I don't want to see that.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
And I know that guy didn't deserve the Oscar for Best Actor.
No, and I don't think he deserves it for Scent of a Woman.
No, not over all the other great movies that he did in the 70s and 80s.
That's what it is. Hey, we better give it to him before he dies.
Yeah.
That's what
like
that
when
is.
Peter Fonda won it for On Golden Pond. He died like the day after he got the award or something.
Thank you.
And he just lay down in his grave.
Those nominees, I feel like, just like cement how amazing The Godfather really is. Like that's just insane to me.
Even though The Godfather insists upon itself, it's still a great movie. That's a Family Guy joke. I love Godfather and Godfather 2. I could sit down and watch both those movies
back to back. Even when they're back to back on AMC and it's 8 hours.
That's a
it's
little
8
rough.
hours with commercials.
But they do it out of order. They do chronologically. So it starts off with the Godfather 2 stuff and then goes into Godfather 1 and then finishes the Godfather 2 stuff.
They like recut the movies.
They did it in chronological because Godfather 2 goes back to Vito Corleone's beginnings and then it goes to Michael post Godfather 1. So
wait.
I know. I'm just explaining how Godfather 1 and 2 are.
A 93 is the score.
Ooh,
I'm
doggy.
So I want to know what your top 5 movies are, Brady. Album.
Well,
Brady, sorry. I said his last name. I probably said it 18 times today, but beep that out. Beep, 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 beep.
Okay, so
I think he said it for his Instagram. He said B. Alpin.
And I'm sure I screamed Brian Alpin, you douche, many times tonight. So.
If not, please do it now.
Put that on a loop. I want that a button on there. Sorry.
Favorite movies ever would be.
You're such a
Blade Runner. Blade Runner is absolutely my
which
number
we did
one.
already.
Blade Runner's number 1?
Yeah.
All time.
Yeah.
Were you on our Blade Runner episode?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you were on our Blade Runner episode.
Like Blade Runner 2049.
I'm mad that you don't remember that he was on it.
I
had
feel
a lot
like
of guests.
weird to put both in my top 5, but
right.
they're really like
the second Blade
2049.
Runner.
I would, yeah.
That's interesting.
I would say I would say Dog Day Afternoon, but I'd be more like 5.
You did say it was definitely in the top 5 earlier.
There Will Be Blood, which I watched recently for the first time.
Okay.
It's definitely
Great
my
movie.
top 5. I loved that movie. And then it'd have to be like a comedy.
Probably Rubber or something like
and
that.
I do love Caddyshack. I do love Caddyshack.
That's a great movie. Dude.
That is a great movie.
I would put Caddyshack in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. That'd be 5. Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
It's a good list. It's a strong list, especially for someone so young.
Top 5 are, man. Make him do his top 5.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my top 5?
You guys could have a whole.
I mean, my top 5 is like
that.
15 movies. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, like I left out like a lot of movies that
I mean, Shawshank
love.
Redemption, Goodfellas, Godfather.
Godfather Part 1. I love Whiplash.
Both Godfathers are
Raging
amazing.
Bull.
Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Caddyshack, Animal House, Airplane, Naked Gun. They're all my top 5 on any given day.
Young Frankenstein.
Fletch is in there. Young Frankenstein.
Brady didn't like
Blazing
Fletch.
Saddles.
I wasn't a big fan
History of the
Fletch.
World Part 1.
Yeah. I think there's maybe there's 25 movies in my top 5.
I feel like I gotta put Like
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
there's so many. A Star Wars movie like Empire
Empire
or
Strikes
A New Hope
Back
has to
is the
be
only one
Empire.
that deserves to be.
I
Listen,
love
New Hope and Return of the Jedi, no doubt, but they're not top 5. Empire Strikes Back is top 5,
That's true.
and maybe even
She's all that.
the Two Towers. Two Towers is my favorite of the Lord of the Rings movies, and Two
Really?
Towers is so rewatchable.
Yeah,
I love
'cause
that
guess
movie. The Battle of Helm's Deep might be the
yeah.
most impressive thing I've ever watched in a movie ever in my life. I love watching.
Well, you
that.
say that. You haven't seen Avatar 2 the way.
I will not see that. I don't care. A bunch of blue things throwing
Wait.
themselves at each other. I don't
Hey,
care.
That'll come on Disney Plus, and he might just come down here and Avatar 2 continue.
I
And he
can't
might
imagine.
continue. He
I
might
have
continue.
no
He swore he
fun,
was never going to watch Kenobi.
Yeah,
I have no fond memories of the first Avatar movie. I watched it one time, didn't care for it.
Maybe
so
he loves it.
I don't care.
Hey,
about
on a
the second
rewatch, you
one.
could love it because I didn't like the movie the first time you watched it. The second time you like it.
It wasn't like the best
Last
movie
American
of the year,
Virgin.
but
You hated it the first time you watched it.
I didn't hate it, but I only
Oh.
watched certain
I
parts.
left a movie out of my
Weird.
top 5 that I would actually
What is it?
like. The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh wow, interesting.
It would at least one Wes Anderson movie.
Is that
would
your
have to be my
favorite Wes
top 5.
Anderson?
You're a
I
Wes
don't know.
Anderson guy.
I loved The Life Aquatic.
Okay. I'm not a huge Wes Anderson fan. And speaking of movies that you hated the first time and then watched it again and love, it's another movie in my top 5. It might be number 2. Ocean's 11, the George Clooney version of Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Michelle and I saw that in the theater and I walked out of there going like, that was the stupidest movie I've ever seen. They told you how they were going to rob the stupid casino, and then they robbed the casino. I'm like, who cares? I'm like, that was so dumb. Since then, I've watched Ocean's 11 no less than 75 times, and that's very low barring. And I love that movie, and I just watched it the other day because it was on TNT, and I'm like, oh, damn it. Got to watch Ocean's 11 again because it's on, and I caught it.
How are you watching these shows on like regular television?
Because I have like regular television, man.
Oh, you do?
Like, how do you...
We do too. YouTube.
But I don't, and I get it, man. Everybody
never
streams
watched
everything
that.
nowadays, but like, how do you decide what to watch then?
I go on and I have my shows.
You have your South Korean teen softcore porn section of Netflix that we know you have.
When I go onto Netflix, I just all the stuff that I like is right there.
Yeah, see, I go to Netflix and it infuriates me because now I got to like go, no, and like a half hour goes by and I'm like, why did I do
And then
this?
he's just like, I'm going to Hulu.
But if I just turn on like regular TV and the guide comes up and I'm going through it and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, but
I'll
you
watch
have to
that.
watch something while you're going through the guide. It's fun.
And
you know
I
what
put
mean?
something on. I'll put like Friends on or Simpsons or Family Guy and then go through the guide and find, oh, cool. I haven't seen Godfather in a month and a half. I'll watch that now and put that on.
Well, I might only watch 5 hours of television a week.
You watch. No, you don't. Don't lie.
You come in here and he tells, I watched the whole season of this.
He's saying he watches 5 hours of television because it doesn't count Netflix as television.
No,
so that's the,
like right this week. I didn't watch anything today. I watched the movie yesterday.
Well, you worked today.
It is
so doesn't
really
count, and you
confusing.
came
I
here.
didn't watch
'Cause I'll
anything.
say-
the
I haven't
day
watched a minute of
before.
TV today yet.
I haven't watched TV. I went home early and I watched Chips. I can't lie. I watched Chips.
It's very confusing because I don't see him watching all the time or even that often. But then, like, he is finishing the shows at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't.
We have no idea who's next on the podcast, right?
No.
Did you ask any of your family members if they're available for another
Well,
podcast?
Connor definitely is.
Katie was
Connor
upset
said he
that
can't
she
think
wasn't
of
the
what-
first one.
We asked
more than
Katie at
welcome.
Thanksgiving. And
Yeah, but
came up with
she couldn't come tonight. So.
She gave
So
us
it's on
some
her.
kind of really terrible movie.
Yeah,
I was going to say she probably gave a
Like
horrible movie.
Misty or something. I'm like, we're not watching that. No. Do something better.
Yeah,
It was some
I'll tell
musical
her.
from like the early
Pick
70s.
something
I was like,
good.
that sounds awful. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she wants to come back.
But
on.
Anthony's in, Connor's in.
Yeah, well, Anthony,
get
we're
them.
doing Jedi, right?
No.
I
We're
thought we
doing
were
Jedi for 1983.
Oh, that's right.
Mac can make Saturday
And
nights, right?
Mac will do something with this.
Are we
soon.
doing this Saturday?
Not this coming, not New
Not
Year's
the,
Eve,
not
yeah,
New
we
Year's
can't
Eve,
do
right?
it.
Yeah,
but the
so
following
yeah.
week we can. And then I can't the following week. So
I can't
Kevin,
do
we got to
either,
ask
yeah.
Kevin.
Kevin, we'll figure it out. We'll get everybody. But this
Dane is
this
gonna
will
come
be
back?
for January 7th, this episode. This is coming out January
Yes.
7th because you still have the toy to release on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And a
The
bunch
toy,
of
that was
minis.
fun, man. I love the toy.
And a
You want
bunch
me
of
to
minis.
just kick out all the minis?
Yeah. Yes.
Just dump them.
What are you holding on for?
You could do the mini that we did as a full episode. Probably that was like
Well, we were trying to say the minis should come out the Wednesday before the episode drops.
Like that's what this.
That's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna get on
the mini. The mini that we just did today should come out like January 4th or whatever that Wednesday is. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Oh my God, no, you can't.
It's the beginning of the season. I'll have everything on a schedule.
Also, what did we tell you about editing?
I won't edit.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the exciting new podcast. Everywhere you get your podcasts, Facebook, Instagram, the exciting new podcast. The Jazoo on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy, AE Gonzo 1 on Twitter, AE Gonzo 1970 on Instagram. Do I do Twitter? I don't even know. Maybe TikTok. One of those things.
And Brady _Alpin on Instagram.
He's got a
there
thing.
you go. That is my Instagram.
And I'm Brian, Papa Bad Kitty.